Buckner.
Like older brother?
The father came from Minneapolis, St. Paul,
Buckner like the Tukir.
and they have an older Buckner. There was a system.
So he's younger than Rebbe?
Yes. There was a system in Chaim Berlin at that time. It was a
No
very
one
good
else
system.
there. We're live?
We're live. You can finish.
They didn't talk to you about the Buckner.
Alta Bacher beat you up when he was there.
What?
When he was there, Alta Bacher beat you up.
Chaim Berlin.
Okay, so we're holding Daf Nun Gimel Amid Beis.
Yeah. Three
The
lines.
lens?
3 lines for the bottom.
Yeah, right.
4 lines for the
Just take a tissue or
Tissue.
something. Yeah, just 4 lines from the bottom.
4 lines.
If we're not starting yet.
Use your tongue.
Is there a consensus here? Is anybody more interested in the shir on Shabbos itself versus Motzei Shabbos?
Yeah.
You're interested
No.
in during Shabbos?
No.
Neither. Okay. Yeah.
And how many motzei?
You came both days in Shavuos. You have no problem coming. You rather have it on Motzei Shabbos at 9:30?
How many wanted to give it twice?
I'm Shabbos.
Shabbos is better.
That's
The only problem with Shabbos is that there's no video.
No.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm well aware.
It's fresh. It's from last night.
You don't Shabbos when you do
Right
that.
after the
We gotta move a little bit because we have a siyum afterwards.
Who's making a sing?
I'm making a very big
With
scene,
Naftali,
very
a quick
scene on
siyum.
Cohen.
So this is for the sing.
Okay.
Bring this back then.
You're on the wrong lens though. The
No,
lens is
no,
up.
not.
The lens is up.
I did that.
Upper one.
I did that for one.
Do one more time.
You're saying.
Morning. All right, let's go. Tanan awesome.
No, it's not the phone, guys. It's how we.
Obviously. Tanan awesome. It's always me. Ein tormin min al sheinu minoi. We learned yesterday that you cannot take trumas meisters from one species of food to the other, one type of food to the other. Vim Torah min trumasi truma. It doesn't work. If you forced it, it doesn't go. V'nan emili omer of ami omer of yad. V'ami lo omer of ami omer of shim ben lakish. It says in the pasuk, Kol chelev yitzor v'chol chelev tirosh v'dagon. So it says, Kol chelev. What does chelev mean? The fat, the best of the best. Meaning, referring to truma meiser. Kol chelev yitzor. You should take truma meiser on yitzor. What does yitzor mean? Oil on olives. V'chol chelev tirosh. You should take truma meiser on wine, on grapes. V'dagon. So it says tirosh v'dagon together. So what does the Torah says? On the Torah, take chelev l'zeh v'chelev l'zeh. You should take meiser on grapes by themselves and on olives by themselves. Ashkechon tirosh v'yitzor. Tirosh v'dagon. Dagon v'dagon minayin. That's the Gemara beautiful. It says in the pasuk. Why look inside in the Gemara when you have this? Kol chelev yitzor. The chelev tirosh v'dagon. You see the tirosh and the dagon go together. So l'chayra it says before in the pasuk that I can take truma from tirosh from wine onto grain. The Gemara or grain to grain, and we know that you cannot take two types of grain. You can't take barley to wheat. It says Gemara Kabel Chaimer. I have a Kabel Chaimer. What's the Kabel Chaimer? Umat tirosh v'yitzor she'inam klaim ze b'zeh. It's kedai to remember this Kabel Chaimer, because it's going to come up a few times. Tirosh v'yitzor, you're allowed to plant them next to each other. What are you not allowed to do with tirosh v'yitzor? You're not allowed to graft them together, but you're allowed to plant them side by side. There's no problem of kalayim when it comes to olives and grapes. What? And also grafting. But over here, there's no isser of planting it next to each other. However, you cannot take meiser from grapes to olives. Why? Because we just said in the pasuk it says Kol chelev yitzor v'chol chelev tirosh. The Torah separates them. You have to take meiser separately. Tirosh v'dogon, dogon v'dogon, shem klaim zebazeh. Right? What's the klaim of Tirosh v'dogon? Klei hakerem. The Torah says you're not allowed to plant grapes with grain. Dogon v'dogon are also klaim zebazeh, says Rashi, only with the Rabbanon called Klei Zroy. Dogon v'dogon. But they're considered klayim enoidin shlois asru mizelze. So if two meaning that are not klayim, what's the vart of the kavachomer, Rabbi Yisai? What's the vart here? What's the depth of the kavachomer? When the Torah tells us that something is klayim, then the Torah is telling us that the two separate meaning. They're different. So the Torah is saying that even on two meaning that are not different, you have oil, grapes, and olives. The Torah is telling you they're not klayim. They're not a different min. Halachically, they're not a different min, and you cannot take ma'aser from one another. So certainly when something is the same min, shem klayim zevzeh, nidin shlo yisasim zevzeh. Well, Rabbi Yoshe doma achi yizrachito usoira v'charza b'mapelosiyad. The famous Rabbi Yoshe. Rabbi Yoshe says that the whole issur of klei kerem is only if you take with your hand, you take two seeds of grain, two different types of grain, and one grape seed. In other words, according to Rabbi Yoshe, klei kerem is not just klei, a grape with grain. That's not enough. That's not klei. You need two grains and one grape. So l'chora, it's not klaim at all. So then there's no kavachomer. According to him, it's not klaim. So he has a different kavachomer. Umat tirosh v'yitzor she'enom klaim zeh b'zeh afilu al yedei davar acher. If you take a grape and an olive, you could add whatever you want to it. You could add another piece of grain, let's say. It's not going to make it klaim. Because his claim is dafka, 2 grains and 1 grape. But if you take 1 grape, 1 olive, then there's no combination. What are you going to add? The only thing you could add is 2 grains to it. Okay, shkosh. But I'm saying if you add one thing to a grape and an olive, you can't make klayim according to him. Nevertheless, they're not considered klayim, and you cannot take ma'aser one from another. Tirosh v'dogon, dogon v'dogon. If you have the combination of 1 grape and 1 grain, all you need to do is add another grain. Or if you have grain and grain, all you have to do is add grape, according to Rabbi Yoshe. If you add one more thing, shem klayim zevzeh, didov acher, and it didn't shleisashim zevzeh. So certainly, if they are klayim, certainly you shouldn't be able to make ma'aser from them. You shouldn't be able to take ma'aser one on the other.
Strange combination though, because here we're saying you need 3. Whatever happens, you need 3.
Yeah.
Here we're talking about when you combine 2 for ma'aser. You're comparing apples with pears.
No, we're just saying that if in a case where it doesn't help, no matter
in order to have climb, you have to have 3.
right.
Right. Therefore, how can you use that definition of climb to decide whether 2 can cover each other?
Because we're showing that there's nothing wrong with them. They're all in the same. There's nothing different about them. Tirush and Yitzar, even if you add a 3rd thing, it doesn't ruin it. There's no klayim that shows you that they are very close to each other, yet you can't take ma'aser from each other. They're so close. Tirush and Yitzar, even if you add a third seed to it, you're not ruining it in klayim. What does that tell me, logically? That tells me that Tirush and Yitzar are very close in family. If they're so close in family, why can't you take ma'aser from one another? So certainly where things are very different than each other, that you can't take ma'aser from one another.
According to Rav Osha, why need the 3rd one? Why it's not enough 2 grains? Dogon and dogon, no?
No.
Just a question.
No, dogon and dogon is the Rabbanon, and he doesn't hold to that.
No,
מהפסוק.
חיטה שעורה וחרצן. So חיטה שעורה alone.
No, it's not.
Not according to
Not
Rashi.
according to Rashi.
תדייק את זה במילים שלך.
Ushneim minim ba'almo minolon. Okay? So the Torah tells us that the chiyuv of Truma and Ma'aser is only on three things. Dogon, Tirosh, V'yitzar. Grain, wine, and oil. Those are the only things midiraisa. But the other meaning, let's say you take lentils, two types of beans, how do you know you can't take Ma'aser from one on the other? Says the Gemara, how did the Rabbanan need it? Everything else is only the Rabbanan. The Chol Tikin Rabbanan, Kein Deraisa Tikinu. So Mamela, very simple. The Rabbanan instituted Trumas and Ma'aser on beans. The Rabbanan also said that you can't take from one min on the other, just like the Deraisa. Ma Deraisa Shnei Mina Min V'Shas Zeh, the Rabbanan Nami.
If the plants together, you can't take it, right?
No, nothing to do with plant. That's Klai. We're talking about Trumas and
And
Ma'aser.
according to
Can I
Baisha, you
take-
need three.
What?
According to Baisha, you need three. Three different bedrooms. Yeah.
No.
Okay, the rice
no,
is
no,
different.
no.
Why not?
Because
There isn't grape mixed in with it. It's not.
No.
Every combination plant has to have the grape seed.
Because he's saying that even in the two minim, in the three, let's talk about just those three, right? If you have, the only issue would be, no, you confuse me, 2 chita and 1 grape. That's the issue, that's,
Keep the soya on the bread.
right, two dogons and 1 grape.
What about chitza, sorai, and zeytin?
No.
No, only with grapes.
No, what are you doing there? Tears, dogan, chain climbs of the I did of after, and it didn't as right. No, but he's saying that anything that, even when there's no climb, even when you're not over on climb, it's usher. No? You just threw me through a thing. Tiraj v'dogan, shein climbs of his and it didn't shlois asru mizel zeh. So he has a kavachom that he can't take meiser.
Right, that's in terms of Maisa.
And what are you saying?
In terms of Klein. Saying the Rabbanan.
You're just talking in terms of climb or what?
No, Taisvus says that.
You're talking about planting lentils and lentils? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying.
Is? Okay.
The what? What do you say?
The kila keren is only.
He only has a structure by Kalaya Karen. Two and
Oh.
one.
But kila Israel.
Kill Israel, he agrees that they're going to do that. Okay.
So that's what Rabbi Kimchi was asking me for, no?
No.
On Dogan V'Dogan.
Yeah,
On Dogan V'Dogan is, according to him,
The Dogan is kila, as he says.
that's-
So that's why I didn't understand why you need the chatzah, why you need the kila. So, but according to what he
it's
said,
not for Kila Keren, but not for Kila Israel.
to be the rice.
So Kila Israel, but Kila
We don't
Israel,
have anyway.
the Raisa Tosh says? Okay. Omalei Rabbi Bar Chanan la'Abaye, l'me'ato gabi ma'aser behema, v'lo yiksiv v'chol maser bokor v'maser tzor. So we just established, because in this pasuk it separates it. It says kol chelev yitzor, v'chol chelev tiraj. So therefore, I know you can't take ma'aser from here on here. But on this pasuk, much longer pasuk. Where Boker V'Tzoyin goes together, there's no separation. It doesn't say Meiser twice. If it would say B'chol Maser Boker, V'chol Maser Tzoyin, then it would line up with this pasuk over here. Now it's saying, just like over here, by food you can't take one Meiser on another. So by animals also you can't take one Meiser on another. But by animals it doesn't separate with the word Meiser. The word Meiser goes on both, on Boker, on cattle, and Tzoyin, on flock. Yesterday we learned you can't do that. All it says is Meiser Bokor Vitzoin. Yisasru Mizelze. At the end of the day, let's take Meiser. The Mishnah says before you can't take Meiser one another. Omalei, Omakro, Ho Asiri. In this pasuk, If you look at the end, it says Asiri in red. Asiri is the same word as Meiser. Meiser means the 10. So it says Asiri. So this Asiri goes on the Tzoyin. The Tzoyin kol asher yavet Asiri. So that, in fact, it does say twice Meiser. One for Bakar and one for Tzoyin. This is the drasha of Asiri. Asiri comes for two things. There's Meiser and Asiri. Yihachi, Kvasim, V'izim, Nami. So how did you learn this question? Also, I'll give you now 5 seconds to tell me what the question here is. Yihachi, if...
You also can't do together.
Why?
The Mishnah says you can do together.
Izim, you shouldn't be able to do together. Why? Because it says...
lion.
What?
It's the lion.
No, but based on what we just said, that Meiser and Asiri, this separates it. So if it separates it, we said that the word Vatsoin includes sheep and goats. Right? Sheep and goats. Ask the Gemara that the word Asiri should separate sheep and goats. There should be Meiser for sheep, Asiri for goats. You shouldn't be able to combine the goats and the sheep. That's how the Pashup Pshat in the Gemara is. Yihachi. You're saying no because you're looking at Rashi. I see your finger on Rashi there. So what does Rashi say? Rashi is a completely different Pshat here. A very deep Pshat. A much harder Pshat. That would be the simple Pshat. And a lot of Rishonim learn like this Pshat. Just a plain simple
That makes no
Yihachi.
sense. Son is one word. That includes Fasim and Chief. Of course Rashi has to contact Pshat. So it means one thing. How can a series
We don't know that really now at this point.
We saw already the term.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Yesterday. It's a different daf.
Some don't have the case of
Okay, no, the word Yihachi, right? What is Yihachi? Just the flow of the Gemara. If you weren't Rashi, would you know Rashi's Pshat?
No.
It says Yihachi, based on what you just told me. The Meiser, that word Asiri separates the first part of the pasuk. You're right, sign is hard. So let's see Rashi inside, because Rashi is very complicated. Rashi says, Kvasim Vizim Nami, right, all the way on top. You shouldn't be able to take Meiser. We learned in the Mishnah that you can take Meiser from goats to sheep, and sheep to goats. Says Rashi, Yochi, just like the Torah separated the olives from the grapes, and we made a Kal V'chomer. So Rashi is going into this Kal V'chomer that we had before. We made a Kal V'chomer to say that not only grapes and oil is separate, you can't take mice from the other, but also grain from grain and grain from grapes. So Rashi sticks in here Kal V'chomer. That what? That Chodesh V'yasham, going back to the Kal V'chomer we had the other day, that if you have a goat and a sheep, two goats that were born in different years, one was born in Tavshanayim Ches and one was born in Tavshanayim Tes after the first day of Elul, you cannot take Meiser one on the other, even though they're not Klein. You can breed them together. So Kol Shkein, now the Gemara asks, so Kol Yihachi, so Kol Shkein, a goat and a sheep, you shouldn't be able to take Meiser one on another because you cannot breed them together. Why did the Gemara wake up now and ask this kasha? I don't know. But that's the Gemara's kasha. So the Gemara says, Vatzain. If you look at the word Vatzain, so now the Gemara is explaining it. I don't know exactly, like your Svar, I don't know if it fits in here. Only now the Gemara is Vachadish. Vatzain means it's both. And if we learn from the extra Vav, Vatzain means goats and sheep are included in one category. Mashma called Tzain Echad. So let's go back to this pasuk. It says Kol Chelev Yitzor Kol Chelev V'Dagon. Over here, in the word Dagon has a vav, so Dagon should mean all grain. We just finished saying a Kal V'chomer that you cannot take Meiser from one grain to another grain. Omar Abayo Reishisom. You're right. If it would just have this vav over here, over here, you're right. But since I have this word in green, Reishisom, what does Reishisom mean? Reishi Sam, take from the first of them, each one individually. Each grain is a Reishis. Maybe I would say Reishis by itself, fine, but Reishi Sam, from the different types of grain, each grain is its own category. Rav Omar. Here we have to concentrate a little bit. Rav Omar, where are you? Oh, V'chein Omar Rabbi Lo Reishi Sam. He says the same drasha. Reishi Sam means the first of the grain. If we say Reishis, it's all grain. Reishi Sam means I want to divide, I want to separate grains. Each barley is one category, wheat is another category, spelt another category. You cannot take from spelt on wheat and on barley. Rav Amar Beloy Reishi Sam Nami Mashma Kol Dogon Echad Lo Yimotzes Amos. You want to learn this vav to include all brand, all chita, all dogan in one category. You can't do it. Why? In this pasuk over here, the word vatsoin can include two categories. Why? The sokedai of kvasim is nami. Because if you're going to tell me that you cannot be master one on the other, lichtoiv v'chol master behema. So Rav is saying that this word vatsoin is extra, but this word v'dagon is not extra. Why is this word vatsoin extra? Because all the Torah had to do is, why did the Torah have to give us categories? Bakar vatsoin. The Torah should say one word. B'chol masar behema. What does behema mean? All animals, cattle and behema dakas. So why did the Torah go into bakar vatsoin? And now he digresses, he just goes off for a second. Maybe you'd say that behema, the reason you can't say behema, because then I would include chayas. I can't include chayas, because I have another pasuk, it says tachas tachas. So the bottom line is that the word v'tzoin is extra, memela, that's why I learned that it includes both goats and sheep. But the word v'dogan is not extra, so there's no reason for me to include all grain into that word. Zok drove inside the Iso Kedai Tvasim is Nami Lichtov V'chol Masav Behema. It should just say Behema. V'chitehema Iksiv Kol Masav Behema Havamin Afilu Chaya. We find in other places in the Torah, we had it ourselves in Chulin, that the word Behema doesn't necessarily mean domesticated animals. If it says it by itself, sometimes it can mean all animals of the world. Even lions are included in the word Behema. Sometimes. Says the Gemara, no. Tachas mikochim gomar. It says tachas hashevet by meiser behema. It says tachas imoy by behema. Mikochim gomar. Bazav gavachomer mechodosh v'yashon. And I have a gavachomer. Now what? The gavachomer that we had before. That if you cannot take meiser from 1 year to another year, even though it's not kilayim, it's the same species, so certainly you shouldn't be able to take meiser from two separate species. So then why bakar v'tzoin lomali? Why do I need the word bakar v'tzoin? Bakar v'tzoin hu de'ein misasrim nizeh azeh, aval kvasim v'izeh misasrim. Aval hacha, but in this pasuk, the Dagon pasuk, misagilo yiksiv Dagon, I can't get away with not saying the word Dagon. Lemudi sharminin. We just said there's only three things that Midiraisa you have to take Trumas and Maestros. Dagon, Tirish, V'yitzar. So there's no way in the world that the Torah could get away with not saying the word Dagon. It'll just say Tirish, V'yitzar, so I wouldn't know that Maestros is taken from grain. I need the word Dagon. It's a very important word. But by us, it's not important to say V'tzoin. And the reason why the Torah says V'tzoin is to tell me that you could take Meiser from sheep to goats. Yeah? Muscular, but the brother Rav Nachman. So Ravuna asks on Rava, who told you that the word v'tzoin is to say that you could take meiser one or the other? Maybe maybe the Torah says the word v'tzoin, the extra word, to say that if you want to take meiser behema, you need bakar and tzoin. You need a combination of cattle and flock. Don't worry, it's almost over. We're almost getting to Mishnah, new sugya. It's all going to be good. You can't do that. because Rava does hold of this word asiri to differentiate and to say that they're separate. Right before we said a drasha, it says meiser, meiser, just like we had over here. V'chochelev yitzor, v'chochelev tirosh. That the Gemara learned that they're different meisers. You can't take meiser from grapes to olives. And the Gemara said that we have the same sort of drasha that says meiser and asiri. You can't take meiser from the top category to the bottom category. So Rav also holds of the word asiri, and he says you can't. The pasuk can't be telling us that you need to use in order to have meiser behema. A guy has to have 3 cows, 3 goats, and 3 sheep. That's the only way to do it, because it says in the pasuk v'chomasik bakar v'tzoyin. I need all of it together. Says Rav, no. Because it says Meiser Bakar, that's one category, and then it says Soin HaSiri, it's another category. If I carry it, I have to separate, I have to divide them. I can't combine them. Igid Amri, Omar Rava, Beloy Asiri, Nami Limos. In this one, he says no. Rava doesn't hold of this Asiri business. It's not a separate category. So then what? Yeah. Beloy Asiri, Nami Limos, this Nami Bakar, so Misachim Zelzeh. The iskash meiser behema la meiser dagon. It says in the pasuk by aser to aser, there's a hekesh between meiser behema to meiser dagon. This we had yesterday. It says aser twice, aser to aser. One is talking about an animal, one is talking about grain. Ma meiser dagon and minal sheinu minu loy. Just like by meiser, we established already that you can't go from one grain to another. Meiser behema and minal sheinu minu loy. So too, you can't go from Meiser Behema to in Meiser Behema from one min to another min. I don't need Asiri, even if Rava doesn't hold of this drasha of Meiser and Asiri that it means the same word and it's splitting the pasuk. Even without that, I have a hekesh. As the Gemara of Rava who the Omar Shana l'Shani Kash v'lo l'Davacher. Yesterday we learned that in the pasuk Aser to Aser it says at the end of the pasuk Shana b'Shana. So he's only learning that hekesh, that the aser to aser is only for the years. That was the last words we learned yesterday, right? Right before Mincha, the other one's already halfway out to Mincha. Missed you. Levi, you gotta start coming. It's not that far of a walk. It's a big island. Oh, I didn't see you either. All right. No, but Met, if we do a shir on Shabbos, will you come? He actually, I'm not joking. Yeshua ran up 4 flights to grab a key, ran down, came here, pulled out the cold coffee, and then he brought it to the ship. Yes. So this cold coffee, this is not hot coffee.
It'll be shown on Shabbos.
Would you come? If you came, maybe we'll switch it.
Ask again now.
There's the Olam, now there's a bigger Olam. There's the Olam thing that we should do a shir on Shabbos itself versus Moshe Shabbos, an hour before Mincha. Yes?
Big challenge.
Okay, so Bezer Hashem. No charts and no video for those who miss it.
Why no charts? Why not charts?
If you make you make the charts Erev Shabbos.
Why
We'll
can't
talk
we
about
make
it.
charts?
Okay, we have
Why
to be
can't they do a
there.
video? I come for the challenge.
Listen, Yeshua said that Yushalmi guy approached him yesterday. He said, "Do you guys do internet here? Does Rabbi what's his name? Perlstein know about this? What kind of chutzpah? He gave him a whole drasha. So you want to do on Shabbos? That might be a little.
Send this guy to us.
And when he told that to me, I'm so happy we don't have a screen behind me.
Ask him if he knows how the lights turn on and off.
Ask him whether we could do it on the internet with a time switch.
Fine. Says the Gemara, unbelievable. Rava took back. Rabbi said, if you stick around at the end of the shir, Reb Naftali is making a siyum on Chulin for Lili Nishmas' father, so we're going to be probably finished 5 minutes early or more. Whoever sticks around will be Zayich and a siyum. A really, really quick siyum, he promises. I just remember my father, he always makes siyum, makes the siyum in Shas every year. I don't recommend, if you have an extra hour, like he goes, as he's doing it, he says, Rami Bar Papa. Rami Bar Papa was he starts going into a drasha about it. It's like, siyum, and so all of a sudden he's finished with that one, he goes weiter, and I once said a shot, and hey, my mailing, yeah, okay, anyways. It's not going to be like that.
Lucky you only had 10 sons.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not a drush on every son, but okay. L'shana, you guys are the You're right. He does learn this thing of Shana B'Shana, that the whole pasuk of Aser to Aser is only talking about Shana B'Shana, the difference that you cannot combine animals in the same year. That's he had charada for them that later on. It wasn't even Rav who said it. It was Rav Papa that said one of these two things. Says the Mishnah. Meiser behema new mesechta Rabbaisai. Everybody can wake up now. We're done with the limudim. Meiser behema mitztarev kimlei regel behema roya. A person has a ranch. They have this in the United States. I don't know if they have it other places. They have people that have like thousands of acres, and he has 5 animals over here, and like you have to take a helicopter to get to the other in Texas, like over there. Are they mitzdarif? What's the story? How, like, who's mitzdarif to what? You need 10 animals. Where? How far away are they from each other? Says the Mishnah, there's actually a shear. It has to be kimloi regel behema roya. According, Rashi brings 2 pshatim. Basically, it's 16 mil. 16 mil, 1 mil is 4,000 amas. It's 2,000 amas, which is 4,000 feet, which is less than a mile. So 16 mil is be'erech 12 miles. I don't know in kilometers what that is. Let's say 12 miles. That's not people have more than 12-mile property. Or they have 2 farms here and there.
20 kilometers.
20 kilometers. Okay.
20 kilometers.
What does it mean? It means that basically the animal could get from point A to point B on a typical day as it's grazing, or the shepherd could control that kind of flock. 16 mil. He could see that far. If he's standing in the center, he could see about 8 mil in each direction, so he covers 16 mil, which is a lot. Yes, to see 6 miles, control animals 6 miles.
Why should it make a difference? You own all these animals.
That's
farm.
You're asking me why? Because they're not together. It has to be together.
In other words,
It has nothing to do with your with what you own. It has to do with they have to be an eider. That's why. It's a very good point. It has to be an eider. It has to be a flock, and it's not a flock if they're here and there.
They have to fit through a gate.
What?
They have to go through a gate.
Obviously, afterwards you take them and you put them through the gate. You have to put them through the gate.
You don't have to schlep them a long distance.
You have to schlep them, yeah. If you have a chiyuv,
you don't have to schlep them such a long distance to bring them to the gate. I'm saying.
if it's over that. V'kamo hi regel behema roya shisha asar mil, 16 mil. Hayu beinelu leilu shloishim ushnayim mil ein mitzdarvim. So this really needs explanation, as the Gemara is going to explain, but it's pretty simple as you read it, what the Mishnah meant. It says, you need 16 mil, and then a second later it says, oh, by the way, if there's 32 mil, it's not a problem. Of course, it says 16 is the limit. So it's the next, what?
32 isn't.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
32 is a problem. Of course 32 is a problem. 17 is also a problem. It says 16 is the limit. So then it says, so you have to read the next line. Maybe what the Mishnah is trying to tell you is that if you have 32 mil, it doesn't work. But if you have something in the middle, then there's a tziruf to the 2 ends. Rashi says doesn't mean you have to take the meiser in the middle. It just means that the middle guy is mitzaref to. You could also take the meiser over there if you want to.
Then the space starts again. You've got 16, they got it.
You have 32, and a guy in the middle, so he's mitzaref the 16 to the 16, and the space over there is something else.
What do you mean by the guy in the middle? An animal?
Oh, we're going to see in the Gemara.
In between the 2 spaces.
It's either machlokes if it's an animal or a guy. No, it's machlokes if it's an animal or a guy.
Oh, it
It
is?
could, yeah. Remeir Oimer Hayarden Mafsik LaMaiser Behemoth. The Yarden, which is much narrower than 16, but it's a river, so it gives you a hefsek. Minani Mili Omer Rabbi Rashid Lomakro Oy Ta'avarna Atzoin Ayidein Moina. It's talking about Lasid Lavoy. It's really talking about Klal Yisrael, but the point is that there's going to be somebody counting the sheep, so it has to do with somebody being able to count. The Kim Lulu the Rabbanon, the Shitzar Milei. It's amazing that a person could see 6 miles, 16 mil, 8 mil in each direction, and memela that's considered 1 eder. What less than 32 it is? Says the Gemara, what the Mishnah meant to say is that whatever is in the middle, it combines everything. V'kama, Omar Rav, Chomesh Mikan, V'chomesh Mikan, V'chomesh Be'emtza. Says Rav, what you need is 5 on the right, 5 on the left, and 5 in the middle. So the 5 in the middle
Combine with each group.
combines with this group, and the 5 in the middle combine. By the way, it's not 5, it could be 3 in the middle, 7 over here, and 7 over here. It's a combination of the middle and the sides. What's interesting is, I was just thinking about it, like, what if you have 5 people in the middle, and 5 people over here, could they be mitzvah to a minion? Where's your minion? Is your minion to the right or your minions to your left? I would think they're not mitzvah. I don't know. I don't think you can mitzvah the same person to 2 separate minyanim. The chiddush is you can mitzvah 5 animals, 2 separate things.
Plenty of people do that every morning. They drift between minyanim and the
I don't know if they drift, and when they're here, yeah.
Eli, it's proportional mazal.
You've been hanging around my house too much with that.
That if you have,
Yeah.
you have 2 people and they can see one another.
Yes.
they can see one another.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last night we had it. It was the most interesting thing. I was in Noam's minyan outside on the street, and there's 2 guys on the porch across the street. The mitzvah every week. I heard the mitzvah every single week.
But they
I was fascinated by it. I said we have to make it us somehow. And then we did Kiddush Levana, and they didn't say Shalom Aleichem to us. Nothing. It was like they were by themselves.
Big text, big text.
No, they know they're not part of the thing.
But
They are part of the minyan.
No, they know that they're not.
can I just come
They are.
back?
Luckily, we're not.
Can I just go back to your animal story?
Yeah, but we have to do
You've
it
got
the same.
5 and 5,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
5 over there.
Yeah.
Right? We need 10 to take Misa.
Right.
So are the middle 5 going to have Misa taken twice?
No. So what happens is you take all 15 together, and you let them out the door,
You have to bring.
and then these 5 have still a chiyuv meiser on them, and if there's another 5 that are born, then you mitzvah. But everybody's a chiyuv meiser.
So you appoint to them. So because you don't need the other 5.
No. They all have to be part of it.
Why? You need only 10. But if you
You need only 10, but in order to take the meiser, you have to put all of them into the
Yeah.
zagohal.
5 and 5.
You don't know. You can't decide who's in the girl. You have to put all 15 into the pen at one shot.
Saying the
Why do
opposite.
you put all the 15? You just take 10 of them because
Every 10.
That's a good question.
Okay, but those five have a chiyuv meiser. The point is that those 5 have a chiyuv meiser now.
No,
They're not potter.
Could be, put them in also.
I think the middle 5 you have
You
to take
can't
Misa
all
twice.
the 15 so you can mix out of them.
No, it doesn't help. Yeah, let's finish it.
No.
Okay, we get to the scene.
The other 5 have to wait for another 5. And then
שמואל אמר, אפילו 5 מכאן ו5 מכאן ואחס באמצע. חזינו לרויה כמאן דקוי הוכה וקרינו בי מוינה. So Shmuel says it's the shepherd that creates the tziruf. So even if you have one animal in the middle, that's enough to be mitzaref both groups.
See him.
At the end of the Sabbath school, and you guys will know it, so I don't have to give too much details. It answers up the issue that that it seems to the Schar B'Hayalma, and Rabbi Yaakov says it's not, and this is how he answers it up, that the Yitablach is B'Olam Shekula Toiv, and L'man Yericho and Yemecha is B'Olam Shekula Arav. So therefore he answers that it's not really Schar B'Hayalma left. Hadolav Shiluch Hatan, V'Sudolav V'Sefah School. I don't know if it's school, or Hadolav V'Sefah School, but Hadolav Lo Nisnashim Enough V'Sefah School, or Tisnashim Enough Obama, then Lo Ba'alma the Ase. Hadolav V'Sefah School, Hadolav V'Sefah School, Hadolav Nisnashim Enough V'Sefah School, Tisnashim Enough Obama, then Lo Ba'alma the Ase. Hadolav V'Sefah School, Hadolav V'Sefah School, Hadolav Tisnashim Enough V'Sefah School, or Tisnashim Enough Obama, then Lo Ba'alma the Ase. You refer to the Nechad Neil Hayr, when they finish it, Hey Tereska, and then saying it was Ba'alma Mazeh. Teimanu lo lemabah, Chanina bar Papa Rami bar Papa Nachman bar Papa Achai bar Papa Abba, Mori bar Papa Rafim bar Papa Rochesh bar Papa Surchu bar Papa Ada bar Papa Dar bar Papa Harav Noah the Neil Haynos Dibur Teresach V'Chinam K'Mios Am Chabeisov Nei K'Manu Anachnu Tzesenu Tzesem Chabeisov K'Manu Yedishmech Lam Teresacha V'Oivet Achmei V'Tzesach V'Olam Li Libi Tamim V'Chukech V'Man Lo Ye'evash V'Om Lo Eshkach Tzezech Ki B'Om Chisani Baruch Atah Adonai Rabbeinu Chikecha Amen 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 Selav Moedim Anachnu Fanecha Milhenu V'Nasenu She'Snachta Chaken B'Yeshu Beis Medrash Some claim Yeshua Krana, Shan Mashkim, Hanim Mashkim, Anam Mashkim will be returned, Bevashim will be returned, Anam Mail, Behimel, Anam Mail will be returned, Kamskar, Hem, Mail, Hem, Kamskar, Anam Ratzim, Hem Ratzim, Anam Ratzim, Chayal, and Bob, Hem Ratzim, Bershach, Shanam, Ata, Lim, Bershach, Anchi, Dama, Mirma, ويأتي إليه وأني أفتح طاق يرد لفنها من الحي شيم شفتان لسايم مسافة سكون كيف هزرين وحاسق مسافة سسران مخير وسايم ولوم والعام ليش مواس كان سكون دي بيتعامل ترسل بيعابا سوس كل تنام ومراي متعاملية خمقام يعمل لي لزار شمال تمش حتى نبي زار زار عن أمام تسكين بي بسلاف تنفذ خشاب بي يربى ينفذ يسيب واشترس حياة ورق يمين بسموه عيش بالربط أذن يعيش لما يتين أن يبرق سموه شلاه يسكدها ويسكدها شمير ربها وما تهو أصل سكدة العصر العصر وخيوم ومبني كاركة يشوى والشقاء وتخيل وتزاوي والنعكر فقنا لكل معارض العصر فقنا لشمير العصر اليوم وشفير المقص حيث ليس بعض وزن كبير رمي
من يشمع الله بالغم الأمر وما
Amen.